Hello out there in Radio Land. This is Michael. This is the Street Preacher's Corner podcast, the podcast where, at least so far, no one has tried to sell you a mattress, or no one has tried to sell you any plots to any Scottish land. So there's that. Well, it's that time of year again. I say again like we've done this before. You know, I record these podcasts all out of sequence most of the time, or I record them in sequence. I record them one after another because that's how time works. But I post them sometimes out of sequence. But this is one of those times where I will fully acknowledge what time of the year it is. It is December, and it is a great excuse for me to talk about one of my favorite topics this time of year. Not my position on Christmas, but that's all you got to do is read between the lines on anything else I've said to figure that out. Now I want to talk to you about what I consider to be the scariest song in the entire world. You know, if you have a dog, you're going to think I'm talking about something different, but I'm talking about the same thing. If you have a dog, and we have more dogs than we should. If you have a dog, you could talk to that dog. You could say anything you want to that dog if you say it in the proper tone of voice. You could go up to that dog and say, "I hate you so much, I want to put a bullet in your furry little head." And the dog will wag its tail because the dog doesn't really understand the words you're saying to it. It just understands the tone of voice. You could also say, I love you so much, I just can't stand it. And the dog will cower down because it's a dog and it does not understand the individual words. Dogs can learn individual words, but dogs don't really know what you're saying. When you're talking to your dog and he looks like he's listening, I suspect that what's going through his brain, if anything is going through his brain, is when is this person going to stop talking and feed me again? My point is, though, and I do have a point, is that you can say whatever you want to dogs if you say it in the right tone of voice, and you can say, well, you can put whatever you want in a song that human beings will take it in themselves and regurgitate endlessly and tolerate endlessly at certain times of year if you put a peppy and upbeat tune. But sometimes you strip away the music and you look at what the words actually say, you'll find that a lot of songs are kind of dumb. And this one particular song is frankly absolutely terrifying. The song I speak of is the old perennial December favorite, Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Now, It's one of the host of insipid holiday songs that are played on an endless loop in every public square until the listener slowly goes insane. But the lyrics go something like this. You better watch out. You better not cry. Better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. He's making a list, checking it twice. Gonna find out who's naughty and nice. Santa Claus is coming to town. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. Oh, you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. Now, this song was written back in the 30s by someone whose name I've now forgotten, but it has been recorded by everybody in the cotton-picking world. Gene Autry has a version. Bing Crosby has a version. Michael Jackson has a version. I mean, it's just one of those songs that everybody records, and it's just out there. Now, laying aside the soul-strangling tune that is no doubt bouncing around your skull right now, and for that I apologize, I just want to take a look at the words themselves. So when we take a look at the words themselves, it becomes very apparent that something weird is going on at the North Pole, at least in this song. In reality, nothing's going on at the North Pole. But anyway, so the very song itself, it starts off with a warning. We're told, you better watch out, you better not cry. And, you know, the listener is admonished. As an admonishment. The listener is admonished to alter their behavior and alter it quickly. So no matter what the reason, no matter what the justification is, a blanket clarion call against crying or pouting rings out. The reason why is another warning. You know what? You know why you better not cry and you better not pout? Because Santa Claus is coming to town. See the tone? So why should the appearance of this ripe, jolly old elf and frog to be of such concern to us? Why does the songwriter feel the need to call out to us to straighten up our act? Well, the clue is in the very next verse. It says he's making a list and he's checking it twice. Now, old Kris Kringle is apparently very intensely interested in the behavior of the citizens of the world to the point that he documents their behavior and back checks it for errors. I mean, what would it take to be able to keep tabs on the people of the earth and to monitor their behavior and to document their behavior and to cross-reference it? Song's been around for a while. The next line is he's going to find out who's naughty and nice. So the CEO of the North Pole apparently doesn't know already who's naughty and nice, and so he has to, quote, find out. So it's a little disturbing that while the song hints at the existence of some sort of vast intelligence gathering apparatus deployed by old Saint Nick. We're not given any insight in the song as to what the parameters of what makes somebody naughty and what makes somebody nice. It's a lot like the NSA. See, Santa monitors and he documents, but he holds the means and the methods. He holds that close to his vest. Now, as if this affront to personal privacy wasn't enough. I mean, really, we already know the man's spying on you. We already know he's watching your life and he's writing it down. But the next line peels the onion back another layer. It says, he sees you when you're sleeping and he knows when you're awake. See, Santa functions even above the most grievous of police states. His jurisdiction is infinite, and his obsession with surveillance extends even to the sleeping hours of his hapless subjects. I mean, really, how naughty can you be while you're sound asleep? A brave soul might ask the unapproachable Claus. It matters not. There is no appeal from the naughty list, no oversight assigned to Father Christmas. He makes the rules. He decides who's naughty. He decides who's nice. And you better watch out, and you better not cry, and you better not pout. Why? Because Santa Claus is coming to town. But I go on. If you go on to the next line by line, the true nature of the song is revealed. The songwriter pleads with the listener to beware the all-seeing, all-knowing fat man in red. The listener is admonished to correct their behavior and go from pouting to crying to, quote, be good for goodness sake, which is in itself an exasperated cry of hopelessness and impotence in the face of the eye and sky onslaught from the north. See, it's not good enough. It's not enough to be good for the good of society or for personal accountability before God, but rather the only way to avoid the naughty list and the ill-described wrath that follows. Departing here for a second, in some of the old Germanic legends of Santa Claus, he carries with him, he doesn't, with reindeer and elves and stuff, he travels with him, he has traveled with him a guy named Black Pete, and while Santa Claus rewards the good children for their good behavior, Black Pete beats the bad children. You gotta love those Germans. But anyway, to being good for goodness sake is the only way to avoid the naughty list and the ill-described wrath that follows in Santa's wake. You can't stop him. You can't rein him in. The police cannot help you. Locked doors and barred windows will not prevent his progress into your homes, into the very rooms of your children. Your best bet is just to be as good as you can and hope for the best. Keep your head down and ride it out till New Year's. Now, maybe the reason children are told to be asleep before he arrives is because maybe it's like the T-Rex in Jurassic Park. Maybe Santa's visual acuity is based on movement. And a huddled child, at least pretending to be asleep, is sufficient for the mysterious figure to come and go in peace. One of the reasons we go to such lengths to establish Santa Claus's benevolence is because if he was the bad guy, he'd be a terrifying bad guy. There's literally no place you can put him that he can't get into or get out of. But just in case the repeated warnings were not enough, the songwriter takes up another notch and shouts, "Oh, you better watch out!" As a parting shot, the listener is reminded to dry up their tears and tuck their bottom lip away because the worst nightmare for an insomniac crybaby is on its way. Santa Claus is coming to town. Well, I think that'll be it for me for the year. See you guys in January. Thanks for listening.